Hey everyone, welcome back, and let's write some more Leetcode today. So today let's solve the problem, sliding puzzle. The concept is pretty simple. The board is of 2 by 3 size, so it's always going to be the same size, and it's always going to have numbers 1 through 5 as well as a 0. But the only thing is they could be arranged in any way. What we want to determine here is it possible for us to rearrange the board such that it's like this, where the first row is 1, 2, 3, and the second row is 4, 5, 0. This spot is considered a 0. The only thing we're allowed to do is move the 0 in a vertical direction or a horizontal direction. Can't do diagonal. That makes the problem statement pretty interesting. I think it's kind of a unique problem, but it's actually not that complicated of one, at least in terms of the solution. I'm not going to lie, I personally went down the track of trying to think about, is the problem related to like a spiral ordering or something like that? And maybe the problem is solvable by considering like those different cases. But even when you go down the brute force track, like thinking of the problem in terms of a brute force solution, that is actually sufficient for solving the problem, because consider this, we have 6 different spots in our matrix. The only question is, how are these values going to be arranged? So there's 6 choices for the first slot if we picked any of the 6 values that we can choose from, and then we'd have 5 choices for the next slot, etc., etc. The number of possible states is going to be m plus n permutations, and this number is always going to be 6, so that's not very long. Like, that's not a big number. I think it's 36 or something, or not 36. I think it's bigger than that, but in any case, it's not like a massive number. I think it's a 720. But anyways, so how do we even think of this problem in terms of brute force? Well, they had one hint for this problem, and I think it's a pretty good one. We could perform a breadth first search where we consider this matrix like a graph, and the 0 is something that we move. So that kind of tells us which positions we can move to. And what we're trying to do in this problem is determine the minimum number of moves if it's possible to arrange the board in the way that we wanted. So in the BFS, we would just pretty much compute the shortest path from the initial state to the desired state if it's possible. If it's not possible, we would return a -1. In the context of a BFS, how would we implement something like that? How do we know if we could not reach the target? Well, usually in graph problems, we don't want to revisit the same position multiple times. So in our case, we don't want to have the same board state multiple times. We could use some kind of hashing data structure to detect duplicates. So if there is a board that cannot be brought into the desired state, then we would have just detected all the duplicate states, and then we could not proceed, and at that point we would return -1. So there is a mechanism in BFS that allows us to do that. Everything is actually pretty much set up for us to do a graph search on this problem. I think the hard part becomes doing it on this state, like on this 2-dimensional board. It is definitely possible. We could have some kind of mapping. Think of it this way. So we have this board. This is row 0. This is row 1, column 0, 1, 2. The neighbors of this are this guy and this guy. So we could say that this could go to 0, 1, or it could go to 1, 0. And we could do that for every one of these. So this one can actually go to 3 different spots, left, right, and down. So it's 0, 0, 0, 2, and I don't have enough space for the one below it, but that'd be 1, 1. And so then once we have the board, if our board was set up like this, put the 4 here and the 5 here, and our 0 is over here, and suppose we're moving up, we would say that we're performing a swap with these 2 cells, and then we could perform that swap on the board at every branch. So suppose there are 3 different ways for us to go. This 0 could go to the left, and that'd be this branch. The 0 could go up, and that'd be that branch. The 0 could go to the right, and that would be this branch. The BFS will kind of continue like that. For every matrix, we would just check, is this the state that we desire? Is it set up with a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 0? If it's not, then we continue. So when you look at this, what would the time complexity of this approach be? Well, remember, in the worst case, like how many different nodes could we have? Well, we're never going to have duplicate setups. We're not going to have duplicate boards. So the number of different boards we could have is going to be m plus n factorial. And for each step, to verify each board, we have to look at every cell and compare it to like the desired matrix. So that would be an m plus n operation. So I believe this is the overall time complexity, this constant multiplied by this. So I think that's in real terms. This was 720 and this is 6. So 6 times 720, even in the worst case. So not super inefficient. I mean, if the matrix was growing larger, then I think this would definitely be inefficient. I'm pretty sure this term is actually being overestimated because I don't think we'd actually be able to generate all of those states just by moving the 0. But anyways, I think that's the general idea. Now, like I mentioned, this problem could probably be solved by maintaining these two-dimensional matrices, but when you think of it, we could also convert this into a one-dimensional data structure and just say that this, even though it's technically a part of a second row, we could just bring that up and consider it a one-dimensional row. So in other words, what I'm saying is we could represent this as a string that would look something like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, then 0, and then 5, and then say that the desired state we're looking for is actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 0. And that will make the problem a little bit easier to code up. I think this is kind of the clever part of this problem, but this is actually not required. You don't actually need to think of the problem in a one-dimensional way to solve it efficiently. This does make the mapping a little bit easier for us because we could still think of the problem like this. We technically have a two-dimensional matrix. So in terms of the movements, they're still going to be happening like that. So like with this string, this is what the board would look like. So now though, this is index 0, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, 4, and 5. So from index 0, we can move to the right or down. This position is index 1. This position down here is index 0, 1, 2, 3. So we could say that 0 maps to positions 1 and 3. And we could kind of keep going like that. So for 2, it can go to 0, it can go to index 2, it can go down here, which is index 3, 4. So we could say that 1 maps to 0, 2, and 4. For each of these, we could have its own mapping. I think that's not super difficult to complete the rest of these. So I think you could probably see where I'm going with this, so I won't draw out all of these. But that's the idea. And this is going to make the problem a little bit easier for us to code up. I think this is probably not clear from the hint alone. I didn't actually come up with this one-dimensional representation by myself, but once you realize it, I think it's a pretty straightforward thing to implement. I think that's enough. Let's go ahead and code this up now. So this is that mapping I was just talking about. So 0 can go to 1 and 3, 1 can go to 0, 2, 4, and then there's the rest of these. If you don't know where I'm getting these from, just try to visualize that two-dimensional matrix with 2 rows and 3 columns. And these are like the indices of each. Now we want to perform a breadth-first search. So we want to get the string representation of the board or the one-dimensional array representation. And that's not too difficult to get. In Python, we can do a list comprehension. We can actually do a two-dimensional loop. So we can do this for row in board, for column in row. And then we can convert that character into a string before we add it to this list. And then we can convert this list into a string. In Python, you actually don't have to do that. You can just work with the lists, but I think in most languages, it's easier to work with strings when we do a comparison. So that's what I'm going to do here. Empty string dot join, using that as the delimiter, joining all of these substrings into a single string, which I'm going to call B. It's the board, but it's the string representation of the board. If you're not familiar with this syntax, you can check out my Python for Coding Interviews course. It's this course over here. It has a bunch of interactive lessons for you to sort of implement the concepts as you learn them. This week, I actually have a Black Friday sale ongoing. So if you want to get this course and everything else on Leetcode.io, consider doing that now. So now we are going to do the breadth first search. It's all in the setup. This is how I like to set it up. We're going to have a double-ended queue. And the first thing that I'm going to append to the queue is this. So I'm passing in a list here with a single tuple. And in that tuple, I want to have 3 different things. I want to have the index that I'm currently at. That's going to be the index of the 0 that we can move in one of these potential directions. Then I'm also going to have the current state of the board, because as we change the state of the board, we want to maintain it. So it's easy just to add that to the queue as we go, because we're going to be generating different boards. And we're also going to have the length of the current path. So the initial state is going to be what index is 0 currently at. Let's check. So we can just say the board index of that 0, and that'll give it to us. And then the next thing we want is the board, which is just the string itself, b. And then lastly, the path length, which is 0. The way this is going to work is we're going to say while q is not empty, we're going to pop left from the queue. We're going to get three things: the index, we're going to get the board, and the length. And we can immediately say if b is equal to the desired state, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 0, then we can return the length. Otherwise, we can then continue. We are going to have a hash set, which I'm going to call visit. Initially, it's going to have just b itself, the initial state of the board. So then down here, we can say for the neighbors, so in our adjacency list up above, for j in adjacency of I, we can then go to the neighbors and then add the board in visit as we go. The main thing here, though, is performing the swap. Strings are immutable. We can't really perform a swap between I and j in the board since it's a string. So we can convert it into an array and then do that. So I'll declare the array out here because we're going to be using it inside the loop multiple times. So board array, just converting the b into a list like that. Now, we're going to create a copy of it to perform the swap. So I'll say new b array. I'll just say b array.copy to make this code readable, but there's probably a dozen different ways I could have done that. And so now we want to perform the swap. So in the new board array at I and j, we want to do this. On the right side, we could actually have this array as well and just change these. So that's what I'll do. But you could have also had b array on this side to make it shorter. So however you want to do it. I guess I'll do this just because in other languages, I think this will work more consistently. Now we want to take this list and convert it back into a string because this is what we want to do. We get the new string of this. So we can do that with join again, taking everything in the new board array. And then here, what we want to do is this q dot append the new state, which is j, the position, the new board, and the length, which is going to be the previous length plus 1. But it's possible that this new board has already been visited before. So if it hasn't, that's when we want to do this. If new board not in visit, then add it to the queue and also add it to visit. I'm sure all of this code probably makes sense to you if you're familiar with graphs and BFS. So it wasn't really the hard part of implementing this. I think the hard part was just figuring out how to solve the problem, that it was a BFS problem. I think that first hint was a very good one, but it also kind of pretty much gives the problem away. Anyways, I think that's pretty much it. It's possible that we'll add everything to visit and then the queue will be empty. This entire loop will stop. And if we reach that state, we can return -1 out here. Otherwise, we will eventually return the length because we will reach this state. So hopefully I don't have any bugs in here, and hopefully I don't have any bugs in this mapping. Let's give this a run. And you can see, yeah, this works and it's pretty efficient. If you found this helpful, definitely check out Leetcode.io. Have that Black Friday sale going right now if you're interested in that. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.